My good friend Riggs Eckelberry from Origin Oil in studio with us. Good to have you on the West Coast, man.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure.
Were you freezing your ass off when you were out there?
My God, Florida was so cold.
This is like July-uary here.
I feel great.
Don't you?
It's fantastic.
I mean, it's unbelievable here in Southern California. The waves are big. The water's warm. It's like we're in Hawaii.
The water's not warm.
Mm-hmm. Well, compared to the East Coast. See,
56 degrees in winter.
But for us here in the West Coast, when you hit the 60s in the wintertime, that water's warm.
Yeah.
You East Coast guys.
Full suits and Ugg boots.
If it gets to like 80 degrees in the water, they think that's chilly on the East Coast.
Man.
Hey, first of all, Origin Oil is a company that we started covering last year under our small caps for people too. We like to, when you're looking at some of these smaller companies on the Amex, on the bulletin boards, on the pink sheet sometimes, although we haven't covered a pink sheet company in a long time, the access to the people running the show are a lot easier, and we found Origin Oil, a breakthrough water cleanup technology company. We first started talking to them about algae and then oil and gas and then aquaculture. Now we're talking about wastewater, and it's through your electrical water separation. For those people that are just joining us, we just picked up a pile of new affiliates on radio and TV. Give us the 50-cent elevator pitch on what Origin Oil does, Rick.
Sure. Well, Sully, it's very simple. Origin Oil is an innovation company that's distilled a technology that pulls organic contaminants out of huge amounts of water. As you know, that's a big problem in places like oil and gas, in fish farming.
Our first conversation was about fracking.
Exactly.
Right. So explain how that process works. I don't think people really understand, because that's one of the components of people that are against fracking is because of what's left in the water afterwards. Right?
Exactly. So you're trucking in all this water. You're shooting about 6 million gallons down the pipe per fracking job, and about 25% of it's coming back. Huge amounts of trucking to get the water in, get it back out again. All kinds of environmental issues. California, of course, is in a drought. And it means something. You're just dropping 6 million.
Yeah, I had to cancel my ski trip this year. Was that you? No, you didn't have anything to do with that.
Where did that come
We're just out of water.
Oh, because
I skied anyway.
I'm not even. I'm afraid to even drink tap water now after watching the stuff that you can pull out of water.
This is so true. So what we can do is we can pull the organics, petroleum, chemicals, etc., out of it, all the suspended solids, and we act as a first step to wholesale pull contaminants out of this water, so it can be reused at the drill well, and that way it doesn't have to be trucked back off.
Right. Well, the other thing too is that in that patented process called electro water separation, which you guys came up with, a proprietary advantage, high speed, chemical free, low energy, and killing bacteria. And what you're hearing here is suddenly we got different verticals popping up here. Exactly. Not just do we have oil and gas. Now we have algae. Now we have aquaculture, wastewater. And one of the benefits though is that you are also extracting. While you're extracting and cleaning water, you also have byproduct, meaning you got oil left, you got algae left, and those are all commodities.
Someone wants them.
Someone wants them. For example, you've got, in the fish farming, you can use algae to feed the fish.
Sure.
Algae is much healthier than fish meal and is a third of the price. So why wouldn't you do it?
Right. Well, I'm sold.
Right.
Okay, so there's a 50-cent tour, an elevator pitch of what Origin Oil is, and it's a terrific company. Their stock symbol, by the way, OOIL, originoil.com. And it's a company that we're going to continue to follow this year, because as you guys have grown, and I've said this before, I suspect you guys knew you had something by the tail here when you first started, but this thing has gotten to the point where your market size, I'm not talking about market share in the company, I'm not talking about market cap, but the market size in which you play,
addressable market,
that pie just got so much bigger over the last 6 months. And it's interesting what may happen next. As evidenced by your press release that came out just today, I want you to talk about you guys made an equity play earlier in the year, last year.
Actually, 2011.
And you guys got involved in a French company, and you guys got involved in a number of things. But
let me set the stage a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
Because ask me how I sleep at night.
I know how you sleep at night.
You have weird dreams?
No.
I manage to sleep at night because we don't actually enter all these markets. We have partners. Right. We license.
This is the Dolby discussion we had.
Okay? Oh, there you go. The guy that figured out how to.
Well, he created a noise reduction.
Yeah.
And instead of selling stereos, he said, "I'm going to sell you how to do it on your stereo."
That's right.
Right. So instead of you guys selling your electro water separation unit,
right,
I'm going to tell you how to make your specific application use our technology.
Exactly.
So it's a licensing deal.
In 2011, this is one of our first big successes that we just announced today. 2011, we helped launch Ennesys in France to help buildings generate their own energy and clean their own water using algae and wastewater. And now it's a functioning showcase. They just closed a round at a $6 million pre-valuation. and our piece of it increased by 30 times, which is exactly what we do.
Yeah. The interesting part about this thing too is that this is just an example of one of 100 of these things that you could do or even 1,000 of these things based upon the licensing model. And I think that's interesting because what you have done is talk about the old. There was a business nomenclature back in the 90s called people used to throw the word value add or the term value added out all the time. Talk about what you just did for this company.
Well, we invested a small amount of cash,
Yeah.
but more importantly, we brought technology, machines, we solved
Value added, value added,
right?
value added.
And we even sold them 3 of our earlier non-core patents on very preferential terms. So we basically created value so that they were able to get this funding from this crowdfunding site.
And you get a little kick on the other side of it now that they're up and running and selling the stuff out.
Well, I mean, what is the path?
exactly.
What's the path of liquidity for you guys? This is ongoing, and it could be growing as well on a company like this, right?
Ennesys alone, of course, we're shareholders. That's nice, and they'll go IPO, and we'll have 10% of the company. That's great.
Yeah.
But more importantly, they are distributing a solution out there, which we're embedded in. So it's automatic money, and there you see their algae systems, our prototype operating
For our
at the
television
showcase
audience, you can
site.
see this for our radio audience. Just go to OriginOil.com. We're just going to stay with us here. 51 past the hour. We're going to talk a little bit more about this and what's coming up next for Origin Oil. Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com is our website. You're watching us on Biz TV, on TiVo worldwide, on Time Warner Cable selected markets across the country, as well as Clear Channel Media, Armed Forces Radio Network, Biz Talk Radio Network. Big Biz Show back after the break. Riggs Eckelberry in studio, CEO of Origin Oil, originoil.com. OOIL is their stock symbol. I saw your press release in the Wall Street Journal today.
What?
WallStreetJournal.com. What the hell? You guys all grown up now? Is that the deal?
Yeah, we're actually a real company.
It's imagine that. That's one of the best parts about this thing is that you guys have repeatedly sort of moved your own bar along the way there. Even now that you're not just a national player, now you're an international player. But based upon this press release with this French company, now I understand some of your people are in Qatar now doing a stand-up job spreading the word of electro-water separation.
Well, Bill Charneski, our COO, I don't want to bring him on the show when he comes back.
Yeah, we
give
need
a
to
full
get him in
report.
Sure.
He's at the International Petroleum Conference
Right.
in Doha, and it's the big oil and gas show. And he's making amazing contacts. It's deal flow. People are excited because in the Middle East they're starting to get into recycling as well.
Sure.
And because you know what, they used to throw this stuff in the desert.
Yeah.
Then this stuff comes back and shows up in your backyard.
Oops.
Not fun.
Right.
You know, the interesting part about that for you is now these licensing plays now take on a different sort of a different morph into kind of a different animal because licensing deals in the U.S. are one thing, licensing deals in Europe are another thing. Starting new licensing deals beyond that. How do you guys gird yourself for battle on that on those negotiations? Because,
Well, yes.
because I'm assuming they're different in every country and sort of what is expected on both sides. Do you guys modify your model as you go into a different country?
The model's the same. Obviously, it's about talent sets. For example, early part of the year, you heard about the big deal we did in Japan, China, and South Korea with vertical farmed hydroponics, right?
Right.
Oh, great.
Well,
That was the East Asia project that you used at a press release on a couple of weeks ago about
yes,
that. Right.
and it's the business out of 2014 alone is about $1 million
Right.
in mostly licensing.
Right.
How did that happen? Because our new chief commercial officer, Jean Louis, speaks and writes fluent Japanese, can do business in Japan.
Wow.
Okay.
And that's relationships.
So what you've done is you've put more arrows in your quiver by bringing guys like Jay Allen, who was on the air with us last week. By the way.
Yeah, I remember him.
And what that does, that just opens up the world for you guys.
Yeah.
Do you think what do you think is going to be your biggest customer? I mean, I understand we go back and forth on industry wise, but do you think the U.S. will be your biggest customer at the end of the day? Do you think you'll be legitimately an international company where it's kind of spread out across the globe?
I personally think that East Asia is an amazingly exciting place because there's no boundaries. They expanded hugely, and now they have huge problems, and they have to solve them immediately.
Well, let's face it. It was the single biggest class shift in the history of the world. What happened in China, and when that happens, there is an entrepreneurial sort of activity that goes on there. So that's and I think that's exciting for guys like you. It's certainly exciting for investors in the company. What's next? What does the next 6 months look like for you?
Next 6 months is all about scaling up. It's about revenue. It's about getting deals done. We've got machines going into Bakersfield for oil processing, as well as in Delta, Colorado. One's 1,500 barrels per day. The one in Colorado is 5,000 barrels per day.
Wow.
Now we're getting scale. Now, this 5,000 barrel per day one, we get a piece of every barrel cleaned.
Yeah.
And
so now, was that
it's
part of
big.
the original licensing model? Because now that's sort of, I mean, that's sort of a, I mean, that even opens up a whole new revenue stream for you guys.
Well-
because you can license and take a piece of action, or is that just how you guys cut that particular deal?
That's right. That's the annuity. In other words, we're not operating, which is great.
Right.
We're just getting a piece
Yeah.
of every barrel that they clean. Thank you very much.
It's the kind of job everybody wants.
That's that's what they call, if I'm not mistaken, mailbox money.
Yes,
I
indeed.
mean,
Yep.
if I'm not
Well-
Here's a
mistaken.
check, honey.
Yeah, that's exactly
We just
right.
enlarged the mailbox.
Yeah. Riggs, I always beat you up on this because I still think that the world's food supply is going to be more important than the world's energy supply, because without one you can't have the other. And I can go the argument both ways. You guys are an algae company, you guys are an oil and gas company, but you're also an aquaculture company. I just can't help but think if you guys could figure out the world's food supply, clean up. You talk about the tilapia farms and the water that they're in, and the water you guys are cleaning up. You're pulling ammonia out. You're pulling out algae out so you can refeed the fish, and so on and so forth. Talk to us about that sector. Well, we haven't spent a lot of time on that recently.
Okay. Well, I got a simple question for you. Have you ever heard of organic fish?
Yeah.
There's no organic fish.
No.
Yeah.
Very small amounts.
Yeah, it's in
Why?
the ocean.
Well,
No, it's
like
not.
farm.
It's filthy in the ocean.
Oh,
It's-
that's
right?
fair enough.
yeah.
Fair enough. You know what?
Okay,
He's right.
You can get small amounts of organic fish. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
But the world needs naturally grown, sustainable fish.
That's
without
not
a
farm fish, then.
Farm.
'Cause
No,
I-
farm.
But it can be organic.
okay.
Yeah,
You
it
see
can be
what I'm saying?
organic, but
Yeah.
what he's talking about is organic.
No
So-
antibiotics, no chemicals,
Yeah, yeah.
and
No
you don't
mercury.
you don't feed them fish meal,
No.
right?
Right. You're not feeding them. You're not feeding the fish.
Exactly.
Ooh,
Like
that's
they're
gross.
feeding the chickens right now.
Cow's cow.
Well, that's what the organic. That's,
Yeah,
you talk about
gross
organic
stuff.
beef. They're not eating.
Beef.
Oh, no.
All right. They're not eating. Chickens aren't eating chicken. It's it's same type of thing with
With fish meal, of course.
Tilapia, for
Okay,
example.
take fish meal.
Yeah.
They drag that fish off the bottom of the ocean. It's full of PCBs, et cetera. That's why farmed salmon has big PCBs.
Yeah.
So if you stop getting fish meal, you start feeding them algae, high omega-3s, all pure. So we're pursuing an organic fish standards where if you use our technology, you can make organic fish on a wide scale, and that will transform the fish farming
I
industry.
found my
Is
new
there
job.
is there a need here more? And again, it comes down to the market size. Is the need for that kind of aquaculture greater in, let's say, in East Asia that you talk about, or is it greater here, or is it just a worldwide issue?
Where it's huge, of course, is Central and South America, Ecuador, Mexico, for example. Huge operations in Thailand, China, Europe, for example. South France has big operations. Australia with their prawns and so forth. The U.S. not quite so much,
Yeah,
but
not
it's a
yet.
great place to showcase.
A fish farm.
Well, I mean, the interesting
Russell's
part.
Fish.
the
Don't
interesting part-
start a fish farm.
Come on.
Well, you're going to see here on Biz Television. I know that Janicus and the rest of the boys are working on that.
That's great.
Are working on that right now, but editing down with your team about the successful water cleanup that happened in the high desert last year. And of course, we're going to do an oil and gas special, and of course, an aquaculture special at my insistence, because I keep on beating the drum for aquaculture. Riggs, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it.